I know they say don't panic. Boy, at this rate, my Magenta sensitive sunglasses should be turning black right about now. Hi there. Welcome, everybody, to the night before Thanksgiving here on Iron Wednesday, where, as you know, a lot of YouTube cooking channels every Wednesday they do their own cast iron videos and make them public and encourage other people to do their own cast iron videos as well. And that's been a tradition on YouTube for several years, which we call Cast Iron Wednesday. And I've been taking part in it myself for a little more than 2 years here on my channel, Cast Iron Chaos. And strangely enough, people seem to enjoy it enough to keep coming back every week. That's pretty much my standard introduction, but that's how it goes. So welcome again, as I said, to a channel where we play with cast iron. And yes, we are going to be preparing for Thanksgiving, especially since I had an interesting little Thanksgiving surprise that I've got to prepare for tomorrow. But still, like I said, folks show up here every week, and I'm very grateful for that because that, again, is really a lot of what makes this so much fun here. So, people like Wyoming Yeti and Pat Z, happy Thanksgiving Eve, everyone. What are you cooking tonight? Yes, of course, making mac and cheese. Boy, maybe I should make some mac and cheese tomorrow, but I've got a lot of other things to do too. Okay, and hello to Joseph Ortiz and Val's Black Cats Rules and Hippie Longshanks and R.T. Scott. Good evening, as you say, sir. And Huggy Bear and Sean, Celine 77 Star 99 and Rick Stumbow. And yes, a lot of you folks show up here every week, and I can only thank you so much that seem to enjoy it enough to keep coming back. I guess it's because, well, I'm kind of proud of my cast iron collection, and I'm sure it's really seeing the cast iron in action more than anything else. So, what can I say? I much appreciate that. But anyway, so yes, yeah, like I said, tonight is the night before Thanksgiving, and while I had been planning on preparing to do a turkey breast tomorrow, because up until about 3 hours ago, I was of the assumption that I would be having a nice, quiet, relaxing Thanksgiving. But what a surprise! Something happened, and now, lo and behold, I'm going to be entertaining a couple of close friends for Thanksgiving tomorrow. And despite the sarcastic tone of my voice, I'm actually very much looking forward to it. They've only visited once so far in the months since I've moved here, and I'd love to see them again. And furthermore, I mean, a nice, quiet, relaxing Thanksgiving is nice, but really, I am glad to be able to enjoy Thanksgiving with some friends, and I can only hope you folks are too. But regardless of what your situation is, just make the most of tomorrow. And that's really what I intend to do. That's why I'm going to start out. As I mentioned, I've prepared it. I'm going to be preparing a couple of dishes tonight that we will be enjoying tomorrow. But the first thing I need to do actually is not in cast iron yet. I've got to get this turkey breast in the brine. And so we need to get started with that. I seem to have not yet gotten my bowl out. Here we go. Okay, give me a quick second here. I just need to get myself a nice large bowl here. Okay, here's what we'll use. One of these. Clang, clang, clang. Finish, Jay. Whoopee, you're the greatest. That's the 3D BB, the three-dimensional blackboard. And where did I leave it? Oh, yes, in the hall closet. Clang, crash, crash. Along with Fibber McGee. Anyway, okay, so we have a nice bowl. Now we've got a couple of other things that I've been so busy rushing around, I haven't had a chance to get these out yet. But then again, they were supposed to be in the fridge anyway. Namely, half a gallon of milk. And if we reach over here, here we go. My vinegar, because I've been doing a roast turkey for several years now, and I've pretty much, I shouldn't say perfected. I don't think you can ever perfect a turkey recipe, and I'm still tweaking it each year. But okay, so the angle needs to be more this way. Got it. But there's one thing I've been doing every year, and that is a milk brine because it's nice and easy and not expensive, and you don't even have to boil it. In my case, it's more like a curdled milk brine because, like everything else these days, buttermilk is expensive. So I make a poor man's buttermilk by combining milk and vinegar and making a curdled milk brine. I got the idea for a buttermilk brine because really it's like if it's good enough for fried chicken, then surely it's good enough for a turkey. And don't call me Shirley. But I've been using this milk brine now for the last several years, and I very much enjoy it. So that means from here into this half a gallon of milk, we will mix half a cup of vinegar. In my case, I'm using apple cider vinegar because I love apple cider vinegar. White vinegar will work just fine, but it's pretty much all you need to do. And I just need to let this stand for about 20 minutes or so in order to curdle the milk. And then we just throw in a few more spices, and the brine will be ready. And it is just as simple as that. Um, yeah, everybody, of course, has their own way of roasting a turkey, and I'm not ever going to say that mine is the best way to roast a turkey, but it's one that I enjoy, one I developed myself, and I've likewise I found it to be quite successful as well. I'm also proud enough to say that a few folks have. Other folks have tried my turkey recipe and they seem to like it. So I can only hope if you are daring enough to give it a try tomorrow, well, thank you very much, and please let me know. So, and hello, Huggy Bear, Papa. Hope you're doing better. Joseph Ortiz. Looks like I'll be up a few cooking mac and cheese. What is this? Oh yeah, that's right. Looks like I'll be up a few cooking mac and cheese, cheesy au gratin potatoes, and two full cornbreads, and frying chicken tomorrow and making dressing. Yeah, I know. We know all the food. Oh, chicken too, huh? But yeah, I know the feeling all too well. I've had to prepare two cornbreads myself. I made one, and then when I found out I'm going to be having guests tomorrow, I realized I'm going to have to double the amount of stuffing because it's true on Thanksgiving and any other time. There's no such thing as too much stuffing. However, having gotten this part started, I can at least start one of the dishes. And I think what I'm going to have to start with will be the green bean casserole. Because, yeah, here is one second. Huggy Bear 516 tried your brine. Well, thank you very much. I did boil my herbs and salt for a while and about 2 cups of water, but hey, no reason not to. As I said, use whatever works for you. But yeah, I really like this milk brine because it's really not that expensive. So, see you, same to you, Warren, and everybody else. Hello, Cynthia Wesley. What was I saying? Oh yeah, that's right. Last year was the first year I ever tried green bean casserole. It's not that I didn't like it; I had never had it. It's one of those dishes that my family simply never made or never served at Thanksgiving. And it so I felt last year I just had to give it a try, and I actually enjoyed it a lot. It was easy to prepare, and I thought it was delicious. Of course, I did my best to prepare it the right way, and I prepared it in cast iron, so that probably helped. But in addition, no, because of that, I felt I had to try making it this year. Of course, me being such a fool that I am, I'm thinking, you might as well do it the hard way, because green bean casserole is really no more than, as you know, frying up some onions. No, yeah, using fried onions is combining cream of mushroom soup and green beans, and then putting these onions, they call them crispy onions. They're basically fried onions on top of it. And then you just bake it. It's nice and simple. Me, I decided I think I'll kick it up a notch and make some of my own or make a recipe, I guess, for the cream of mushroom soup part of it. Oh, yeah. Which, of course, is a good excuse to start playing with cast iron. So that means from here, I've just started heating up, but it shouldn't take too long. The good old Lodge cast iron skillet. All of my cast iron, in some way or another, has a sentimental value to me, but this one in particular, I've showed this skillet off before, my so-called redneck pan, which was, in fact, the very first cast iron pan I ever owned. And as you can see, I still get a lot of regular use out of it. Anyway, as I said, I'm pulling up a recipe, which of course that meant I had to chop up a whole bunch of onions as well as some mushrooms. And we're going to start off by, once the pan gets hot in about another minute or so, we've got to combine mushrooms, chicken broth, onion, and thyme in a large saucepan until the vegetables are tender, about 10 to 15 minutes. Well, I don't think it's even going to take that long. So, real green bean casserole is great. What? Make a white sauce with onions and bacon. I'd like to, in fact, but there's one catch, unfortunately, is that my guests are averse to pork, unfortunately. No, they're not Muslim. They just do not, they do not eat pork. And so that means, unfortunately, bacon is out of the question, and so are sausages, unfortunately. So I'm going to have to make do. As a result, in the stuffing, I actually cooked some chicken, and I'm going to mix that in with it as well, along with some spices. So, if I had my druthers, yes, I would have put sausage in the stuffing, and I'm interested in doing that kind of a sauce. And I like your idea of doing a bacon sauce for the green bean casserole as well. But it's still not going to be difficult nonetheless. So once this thing gets up to about 350 to 400, I think I'll be ready to get started. So, and we are at 270. Well, actually, it's starting to pass 300 already. I mean, yeah, I know I've said enough about my gas stove, but it should only take about another minute or so. Hello, Papa Dan and Honey and the rest of the gang. Thanks for the well wishes. Yes, well wishes to you. Val knows what she's talking about, says Honey, says Huggy Bear. For real, I will try that. Yeah, that definitely sounds like a plan. Maybe for the next chance I have to make for making green bean casserole. Here, as I said, I'm going to have to do this. I once did it with steamed green beans, a roux with mushrooms, and a crispy onion topping. People looked at me like I was nuts. Yeah, nothing like their moms. Yeah, exactly. And that's green bean casserole. As I said, yesterday was my first. Yes, late yesterday. Last year was my first time trying it, and I enjoyed it. But I realized again, I did my best to make it right. Green bean casserole, of course, is one of those love it or hate it dishes that has a really bad reputation because a lot of people make it really badly. As I've mentioned, really all you need to do is throw together cream of mushroom soup, beans, and onions. And there are ways to mess that up, yes. But I really like the idea of doing a creamy roux for the for this, which is why I thought I might try doing it the hard way. Excuse me 1 second. I have to reach into my fridge, get out the cream, and let's make sure the cream is doing okay. Please tell me the cream hasn't spoiled. Oh, the cream is fine. Yeah, no problem at all. Cream actually does not. Yeah, cream actually lasts a lot longer than milk in the fridge. Thank goodness. I think this thing may have actually iced up, but it's definitely no. It smells nice and fresh. So I think this cream may be a little more frozen than I expected. Well, that's all right. We will manage that. So if the cream looks like it's coming out of the carton with as glop, it's only because it's kind of par frozen. It's not is definitely not spoiled. Let me reassure you of that. Make your white sauce, toss the green beans with french fried onions, pour the sauce over the beans, top off with more fried onions and bake. Yes, exactly. It's nice and simple too. The most popular dishes always do seem to be simple, the simple ones, don't they? And of course, there's nothing wrong with that either. And lo and behold, we're at 450 now. Boy, isn't cast iron great? All right, that means we've got to simmer mushrooms, broth, onion, and thyme. Okay, since we have to well, it says simmer, but I'm betting that recipe said to probably just simply pour the broth in and boil it. In my case, of course, I mean, granted, these are mushrooms, not meat, but there's no reason why I couldn't do a quick sear on the mushrooms anyway. So that's how we will get started. That means I've got to quickly dig out my spatula. Here we are. Also, I need my pot holder. Gotta be careful here. Brand new to my my gas stove, as I've said quite a few times, and doing my best to be careful around it. Okay, that means we start out with some mushrooms, chopped mushrooms, in fact. Nice thing is, oops, I hope I didn't overdo it, but this recipe said about 5 cups of mushrooms. On the other hand, I'm sure these things are going to shrink. Worst comes to worst, I could dig out a bigger pan, but I'm pretty sure these things are going to shrink. So, oh yeah, of course they're going to shrink. They're mushrooms. I've fried mushrooms before. It's nothing to worry about. And anyway, if this means that I got a nice thick mushroom sauce, then that'll be all the better. Yeah, in fact, it looks like these things are starting to shrink already. So no problem at all there. That looked like too much initially, but there's not going to be any problem. Yeah, that's kind of like about a year or so when I made a Wellington for the first time. Not exactly a beef Wellington, but a ground beef Wellington. And I made a mushroom duck cell to go with that. That was easy, and boy, did that taste good too. Yeah, see how quickly these mushrooms are shrinking? No problem at all. Then from here, it mentions the official recipe says, where is that? Nuts. Official recipe says about, it does say 5 cups of sliced mushroom. Slice, I thought it said chopped, but 5 cups of mushrooms. That's why it looked so much. And it also says 1.5 cups of chicken broth. So let's get this out as quickly as we can. And I think I'll be honest and actually measure it. One, two, three. Boy, that's a lot. Actually, yeah, that's a lot of broth after all. And definitely it turned out, no, that was not too much mushrooms. So that's something to keep in mind if and when I do this again. Means we've got to simmer this, I'm presuming, so that we can reduce the broth. Because, boy, I suddenly see that's a lot of broth. Along with 1/2 cup of chopped onion on top of that. I probably, in fact, now that I'm seeing this, I'm all regretting this recipe. This is an all recipes recipe, my mistake, because now I'm going to have to reduce this. I can see that already. Nuts. Oh well. While we're waiting on this, I mean, granted, it's at 400. The pan said 450 degrees, so it's got to. I mean, it is already starting to steam. So I'm hoping it should only take a few minutes at most for this to reduce. I'm already okay. As I said, this came from all recipes, and I can already see, yeah, that if you try this recipe, I would advise, you know, adjusting it because yeah, I think it would have been better if I had made a roux. But we've gone this far, and we might as well just keep going here. 1/2 cup sawdust. Well, yeah, no, not quite. So, K clock. So I roasted a turkey breast last week, and then made some soup with the bones. People say they don't like turkey. Think I might like it more than chicken. Oh yeah, no. When done right, turkey is phenomenal. I mean, granted, I know turkey is so popular because it's an American bird and it's actually very common, but yes, turkey done right is really something else. Other thing about cooking turkey, as I've found making all of these turkeys for YouTube over the years, is that it's easy to cook a turkey. I mean, quite frankly, it's almost impossible to screw up a turkey. Turkey is a very forgiving meat. It's almost impossible to burn it. It is possible, yes, but more likely, if you end up overcooking it, you'll end up, of course, with dried breast meat, and well as the dark meat will be falling apart. So, but it's not going to be burned and it will still be quite edible. So that's one reason why there are so many tricks for doing a turkey. You know what? I'm not happy with this. I think I'm going to strain out some of this extra broth. I'm already kind of regretting the recipe, but I started it. I'm going to have to finish it. So let me see how I can manage this. Excuse me for a second. Let's move over here. Oh, this, by the way, is the turkey breast. I took it out of the fridge just a few minutes before I went live. So let's be nice and careful here. Hope I don't regret this. There we go. There we go. I've strained out a fair amount of it. There's still some liquid left in it. And back to the stove. Where were we? Oh, yes, that's right. It's almost impossible. Yeah, this is much better. It's almost impossible to screw up a turkey. So that's one reason why there are so many ways to cook a turkey, because just about all of them will work. Whether you spatchcock the turkey, or you flip the turkey halfway, or you put the turkey in with the legs first or legs last, or you cook the entire turkey upside down, or you deep fry it, or you make a trash can turkey or a Dutch oven turkey. You get the idea. I mean, they're all great ways to roast a turkey, which is one reason, another reason, of course, why I like doing it in cast iron, because I think it turns out a great turkey, and it actually seems to have a shorter cooking time as well. Yeah, I definitely should have just put in some butter instead of all this chicken broth. Oh well, it is going to soak off. So while we're waiting, let's go on the next step. And it says about half a cup of onions. So that's good. That means even though I made all these onions, I don't have to do quite as many. There we go. Let's get these in there. And once these are done, we'll actually be able to proceed to adding the cream. And that's the part that I like. It actually doesn't look so bad already. I should probably throw in some good old salt and S&P, salt and pepper with this. But maybe when it gets a little more dry. Definitely, I might suggest instead just do it the way you normally would, which is saute it with butter rather than using all of that chicken broth. Because I really don't think we're gonna make a roux out of 1.5 cups of chicken broth. Oh well, live and learn, and I appreciate everybody who witnesses my mistakes, and feel free to make as many comments as you want, because I'll be the first. I admit this every week, quite frankly. I am not a professional chef. I am pretty much making up a lot of this as I go along. These videos and YouTube and like have largely been my cooking experience for the last 12 years now. So anything I learn, I can only hope I retain it. Like this so-called recipe for cream of mushroom soup, for instance, which incidentally it goes on to say after this, you're supposed to blend this in a food processor, which I don't have. Okay, pulse until creamy, but still with some chunks of vegetable. And then finally, it mentions making a roux in the saucepan, and then you put your mushroom mixture back in there. Okay, well then, basically what I'm going to do is cook this until it's nice and dry, and then or at least where most of this moisture is gone, and then we will proceed with the roux. All right, which hopefully will only be a couple more minutes. I can only hope the cornbread stuffing turns out a little better than this. But even so, gotta have patience. I've only just started this recipe, and it's entirely possible that it can still turn out okay. Certainly couldn't be any worse than that gravy I made, unfortunately, a week or two ago. Yeah, that was unfortunately my own fault. I may try doing it again, but I'm gonna have to be a little bit more careful in preparing that roux. Nonetheless, okay, don't exactly hate cranberry sauce. Oh, yeah, yeah, cranberry sauce. Yeah, I posted a short video just the other day about cranberry sauce because here's the thing: is that people don't, people here in the north, I guess I should say, don't know how to eat cranberry sauce. It's like, and that included me for many years. In that, it's like people seem to think cranberry sauce is some weird jello that you serve like a salad and you just sit it on the side of your plate and eat it like a dessert. And in fact, that's not true when cranberry sauce is in fact meant to go right on top of your turkey. That's why they call it cranberry sauce. And furthermore, ever since I started making my own cranberry sauce, yeah, I've given up on the jellied stuff from the can. I've heard some people, even some people right here in this chat, who still swear by the canned jellied stuff. To which I can only say, to each their own. Feel free to, and the important thing is if you like it, then go ahead and make it. And I made homemade cranberry sauce, which was easy to make, and I liked it a lot. So yes, I'm definitely going to be serving cranberry sauce to my guests tomorrow. There we go. Now we're finally starting to get rid of all that liquid. I regret that part. Boy, I can see. Really gonna have to actually come up with my own recipe, aren't I? Or cobble it together from other recipes. But regardless, now we're finally at the part here where we get to start having some fun. And that means, let me make sure there's nothing else to it. Yeah, it's really all it is. Okay, it is. This is just simply mushrooms and onions in a cream sauce. So that's why I think I don't even need the uh, food processor step because yes, no, this is not going to be. I mean, it could be cream of mushroom soup, but it's going to be more interesting, I think, serving this in what is essentially a mushroom sauce. So I'm looking forward to that, especially since again, what this is going to end up as is green bean casserole. On the other hand, the mushrooms reduced nicely, as you can see. There's plenty of room to spread this about on this pan here, so at least that part turned out okay. And now for we gotta start the root, and that means gotta start throwing in butter. Okay, and then while that is melting, let me quickly grab out my flour, white flour. Okay, get this going. Yeah, no question about it. I mean, I'm really gonna have to remember all this is just that. It's essentially a mushroom sauce, made with a roux. You can skip that part with the chicken broth. Well, I suppose actually a little bit of chicken broth at the beginning might not help. It would help to flavor it, and I'm sure it will be helping to flavor it. But here we're just melting up our butter. Some I saw some snarky comment on the. I think it was last week's video saying I talk too much. I may already commented on why I constantly talk during these videos because dead air and silence are the enemy of any broadcaster. In that you should have something happening all the time. Start with just a little bit. That's the other thing I've learned about making a roux here is that there can be too much flour. However, in this case, I think it'll be okay to add just a little bit more because I don't think I even added a quarter of a cup there. So I'll throw in just a wee bit more, but not much more. That's probably enough, in fact. Because we do not want a floury taste in this. That's that's what we don't want in a roux. So what we do need to do though is cook this, get the floury taste out, and it looks like we're at the part already. Oh yeah, now I'm starting to smell it thanks to the butter. Butter plus mushrooms. That is one of those that's one of those flavor smells you don't want to miss. So at least white mushrooms. Um, Looks like now we're finally getting to what we want. I'm hoping by leaning here with the microphone, you can hear that. Now at last, we're at the part where we can start adding our cream. Hence, cream of mushroom. There we go. See what I mean? This cream, it looks just fine. There we go. So essentially, yeah, that's right. Essentially, instead of a sausage gravy, this is a mushroom gravy with cream. So that's not so bad. Now we definitely need to add more. Come on. As I mentioned, unfortunately, my cream is partially frozen. Sorry to say. So there we go. Actually, that's looking pretty good. So yeah, I mean, never mind it being cream of mushroom soup. Mushroom gravy, a mushroom cream gravy, certainly sounds like a good way to go, if you ask me. So right now, this has the consistency, and actually, it looks pretty similar to the SOS that so many people know and mostly love. There certainly is a similarity to it, isn't it? Except again that it's mushrooms and cream. So now from here, let's throw in some more. Come on. Come on. There we go. Like I said, the lumpy parts are just partially frozen. I believe you can even see the crystalline bits there. So I'll repeat again. Don't panic. Don't throw up. It is not spoiled. It's only partially frozen. All right. There we go. This actually doesn't look so bad already. And I'm still learning how to do a good gravy because my gravies have always turned out, well, almost always turned out too thick. So there we go. That's what we wanted. There we go. See, like I said, it's only frozen. I could probably even turn off the heat at this point. So I think I'll do that. All right. Because there's step one for you. However, now that I've done this, of course, I've got to put a little bit more flavoring in it because so far all I have is butter and mushrooms, which means now it's time to start adding a little bit, not too much salt. Little bit of pepper. There we go. And let me check the list of ingredients because I believe I'm supposed to put thyme in here as well. There we are. That is. Okay, yeah, it definitely says dried thyme. It doesn't mention anything else besides thyme. Okay. I can't call it, I mean, it would not be fair to call it an amateur recipe because I'm just an amateur myself. But if it doesn't use any other ingredients really, and especially herbs rather than thyme, makes me wonder, unfortunately, if the person who put it together is not really a professional chef, I guess. because I can think of so many things that you might want to add to this, really, to amp up the flavor that would not spoil the cream and the mushrooms. Although this does actually, this actually, you know what this smells like? It smells like cream of mushroom soup. How about that? Which means just a tad bit more of this semi-frozen cream, and I think we'll be good. Once this melts in, we'll probably be able to mix in the mushrooms. It also mentions here, let me see, mentions a tablespoon of cherry. Okay, and unfortunately, I read about that one a little bit too late. The only thing I have for that is maybe like a tiny, tiny bit of Cabernet. Not much, because it's got a deep color, and I don't want to discolor this. Okay. And when I said about not being professional, that is with no disrespect meant. Yeah, there we go. It's like I mixed in a red wine, and now suddenly it's turning everything purple. Oh, but it is giving it an interesting smell, though. I will say that. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. And actually, it does look like it is blending in nicely. It is not turning this like grape or deep purple. So I'd say we're doing pretty good here, which means next step will be the beans. And last year, when I made this for the first time, it was recommended that I actually use frozen beans, not cooked beans, because presumably they come out cooked, but frozen beans, because they are going to cook in the oven. So took that advice, and it actually turned out nice. I mean, you figure I'm actually mixing this in with a pretty hot, gravy right now, and it is going to be baking in the oven at 350 degrees. So on the whole, this should still work. All I have to do is make sure all of these things are completely covered. There we go. Actually, although maybe I should have used a bigger pan. No, actually, I think it is going to fit. Well, the really tricky part, of course, is just getting all of these beans covered. Yeah, you see the steam? That's why I think it is going to work. There we go. Besides, it's definitely not going to be too liquidy. I'll say that much. In addition, once the beans thaw, they'll probably add a little bit more liquid to it as well. So I'm still confident that this is actually going to turn out. Then from here, really, this is probably just about it at this point. I think it's funny you made homemade mushroom soup and then used frozen beans. Well, yeah, I was kind of in a rush. That was part of the reason why, but also because the recipe specifically, the recipe that was recommended to me for green bean casserole specifically said to use frozen beans. So this was actually intentional. I mean, I could very well have steamed these, but it turned out well last year. And now the part that everybody seems to like, these so-called crispy onions, which are, basically deep fried onions. And I've done a little bit of research about green bean casserole, and that I've seen a lot of people trying to find a way to make an easy homemade version of these onions. And other than deep frying them, it just doesn't seem to work. The next most popular thing that people like to do are caramelized onions, which are nice, but they have a completely different consistency, of course. So there we go. And with that, we will pop it in the oven. So let me get this back up a little bit with my trusty pot holder. And the oven isn't already preheated. It is. And in we go. There we go. Besides, that was one other thing I learned last year when making it. It's also nearly impossible to burn this dish. That's probably another reason why green bean casserole is so popular. It's one of those recipes that almost nobody can screw up. So we will see how that turns out. Meanwhile, while we've been doing all this, our milk has curdled. So we are ready for the next step. But let me take a moment here. Say hi to everybody. Yes, love the onions. Yeah, exactly. I mean, deep fried crispy onions take a while to make. I mean, they're not too hard, but it does take a lot of effort. That's one reason why, in this case, most people just buy them at the store. And that's also the reason why they charge so much for these things. Cream of mushroom soup has dried garlic and natural flavoring. Yeah, I probably should have thrown some garlic in there now that you've said that. Anyone in the chat, what is your most prized piece of cast iron? Some for Huggy Bear, it's a BSR number 10 Dutch oven. Well, congratulations on that. I've no doubt you'll be using that for the rest of your life, and it's a nice big pot too. The web is filled, Hippie Longshanks. The web is filled with cranberry pie recipes. Oh yeah, I don't see why not. Don't forget the nutmeg. I think you're not talking about cream of mushroom soup. I don't believe there's nutmeg in cream of mushroom soup. Cranberry pie. That must be where the nutmeg is coming from. And cranberry pie sounds pretty darn good too. Okay, going to an antique mall Friday, looking for lids for number 7 and number 9 Griswolds. Good luck. Remember, though, that Griswolds are pretty compatible with other lids, so that even if you don't find a Griswold, almost any other lid should fit, whether it's a Lodge or a Wagner, and I hope that helps. All right, so as I mentioned, now finally we get to the next step, which is again preparing the brine. And this is also nice and simple. As you've noted, you probably noted that I like simple recipes here. And let me see, and I didn't get those other things out of the cabinet. So let me do this as quickly as I can. Here's the sage, not parsley this time. But there is, I know I just saw the rosemary. I was looking earlier tonight. There it is. Good. Okay, and here's how easy it is going to be to make this brine. Oh yeah, I can't forget the kosher salt. That is of utmost importance, possibly even more so than the spices. Because of course you can have a brine with just salt and water. So yeah, salt is really the crucial thing for the brine. All right, my full size one came to use 1/3 of a cup. This is a half size serving. So that means we get like about 1/2 of 1/3 cup. Boy, I know, which means that's 1/6. I don't have a 1/6 cup though, but this looks like about half of it. So 1/2 of a cup, well, 1/6 of a cup of kosher salt. And I can tell that it's good and curdled because, as you can see, the salt is actually not exactly floating, but resting on the surface. And from here, hi Trouble. He was just on top of the refrigerator again. From here, we throw in 1 tablespoon of sage, 1 tablespoon of thyme. And yes, these are all dried ingredients because, again, this is a brine. You could indeed use fresh, yes, but it's very convenient. I still don't mind using the dried stuff because, in a lot of cases, just that. It's still convenient and it still provides some good flavor. And then we've got 1 tablespoon of rosemary. There we go. Looks like, in fact, it's starting to sink below the surface. All right, and then finally, half a tablespoon or 1.5 teaspoons of black pepper. All right, let's do this right. There we go. And that's our brine. So that means I've got to quickly dig something out of this. Should do nicely. Mix all of this together. And that's what, as I said, this is why I like using this brine here each year. You don't even have to boil it. All you really have to do is mix these things together. Basically, I just try to get all of it below the surface of the liquid so that we can be sure it's all mixing together and not just floating on top. And then from there, we will just add it to our turkey. And there's nothing to it. So that means the next step now is to turn over to the sink again, where, like I said, only immediately before this live started, I took this out of the fridge. Been thawing out in ice water, which is no longer ice water. This turkey breast here. The water has done its duty, so we can get rid of that. Yeah, I know. All right. Wait for this to drain. There we go. And now let's quickly put in a bag. Come on. It's always something. All right, then this will have to do. I forgot to get this out of the. Yeah. All right. All right. I forget if they include anything in a turkey breast the way they do a turkey. Let me move this out of the way for the moment. Also, I've got to quickly grab my shears. Here we are. And yes, don't worry, folks. Once this is all done, I am indeed going to thoroughly wash all of these surfaces. So, yeah, I know about poultry. Nobody's died yet, and I do not want tomorrow to be the first day. At least not from my cooking, I mean. Okay, let's get this. Hope we can see. Can we see? I guess we can. Okay, good. Get this out of here. Yeah. Come on, you so and so. There we go. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. All right, what do we have here? We've got, oh joy, turkey gravy, concentrated. Pour turkey juices into a measuring cup. Add water to make 1 3/4 cups of liquid. Heat water and boil. So, gee, they include this with the breast, but they don't include it with the regular turkey. That's interesting. I don't know if we'll try it tomorrow, but we'll see. Let me see a little bit of extra liquid on the inside. And I do not see anything else. There's nothing else hidden. There's nothing hidden back here. So there is no hidden giblet bag here. So no, we're not going to have one of those little accidents. All right, then that means let's do this quickly. Excuse me 1 second. Let's put this in here. Throw this out. Very quickly. Rinse off this entire area here. This is obviously waterproof or liquid proof. So if you've never had a turkey breast from the store, now you know what they include in it. No giblets, but they include some complimentary gravy. And let me make sure we can see this. Let me get a little bit closer here if that's at all possible. Or maybe farther away. Yeah, that might do better. There we go. There's the angle I think you want. Okay. Anyway, I'll move this out of the way. So, as I said, scary looking little thing, isn't it? But that's because this is upside down and the breast meat is on the bottom. So, into this, oops, I forgot one thing. Remember how I mentioned I'm having friends over tomorrow? Where did I put that package? Here it is. Yeah, kind of like at the last minute, literally as soon as work ended tonight, I ran out and got a few turkey drumsticks at the store so that there will be some dark meat to go along with this white meat. There we go. So that way, I have a little bit of everything here. And now, finally, no more delays. Time to add the brine. Move this out of the way. And there we go. I suppose I could have used a whole gallon, but I've done this enough times to know that it's actually not really a problem if this is not totally submerged. Let me show you here so that because as you can see, if we actually bring the bag up, there we go. As you can see, we've got everything brined here. All we have to do is tighten this. And there we go, especially the breast meat. And it's there. That means now I can slap this cover back on. Did I do this right? It's this way. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And back into the fridge. And then from there, we will move on to step 3. Thank you for your patience and once again for the roller coaster ride, folks, which I know I do every week. How far in are we? Oh, we're already at 52 minutes. Okay, I guess that's good. All right, then. Okay, so much room here. All right, let me quickly. I'm not the only one who has this problem on Thanksgiving, trying to make enough room in the fridge for everything. So, okay, here. Oh, oh, wonderful. Thanks a lot, whoever did that. I think I'll blame trouble. Why not? Okay. Okay, here is the container, which obviously is just a cooler with the turkey breast. And in we go. Ah, okay. Thank goodness. So now that we've gone this far, oh, where's my mouse? Here it is. Okay, let's see. First, let's change the view around so that we can look at some cast iron because this is the next thing we're going to be using. All right, I need a bigger fridge. Oh, don't remind me. Fridge looks so organized. Yeah, I know. What can I say? It's the day before Thanksgiving, and I'm just trying to find room to store all this stuff for. What are all those cords for? Well, this setup here actually is a little more complicated than you might think, unfortunately. I've got a separate camera. I've got a stand, but I've got the laptop. I've got the microphone. I've got the power cords for all of these, and I have a little spotlight as well. So yeah, there's unfortunately all those cords are kind of necessary. I'm sorry to say. Hmm. Okay, I've had a girl from videos back. Well, yeah, there's another story for that. So Blue Moon. Oh yeah, Blue Moon was in the fridge. I had to take that out, especially to make room for all of this stuff. Yeah, the bacteria. Well, that's why, as I said, once this is over tonight, I am going to be giving this a good scrubbing. I promise. Okay, Corey and Rick. Small dinner. Val's like, just having a small dinner. 14-pound turkey, green bean casserole, yams. Huh. Oh, that's not bad. Of course, turkey is cheap these days, so take advantage of it. And in fact, get a second turkey if you have the room for it, because that way you will have it on hand for that other holiday coming in. Oh my God, a month from Saturday. Oh, okay. If you like dressing, all right, that's the reverse of the old diet trick of dipping the tip of your fork into dressing and spearing some salad. Yeah. Okay, homemade gravy will be way better than the packaged gravy, including the breast. I can only hope so. I'm gonna keep this thing. I'm gonna keep this little package just in the event of an emergency. You know my thing. You know my kitchen. I mean, since when have there ever been emergencies in my kitchen? I got bacteria spatter all over. No, actually, I do understand that, and as I said, I am going to be cleaning up the sink. And other than that, we have to buy extra turkey legs for the dark meat lovers. Yes, exactly. So also for kids, kids love drumsticks. I remember being a kid, I'd always have a drumstick. I would be mad if I did not get a drumstick. Okay. As often as not, we only buy them for a treat when we have them coming. And thank you very much, Hippie Longshanks. I wasn't asking for it, but thank you so much. Recently found a lid for my Lodge 3 Dutch on my Lodge 3 notch. It's a GSW, really. That's a Canadian uh, Dutch oven, but it fits perfectly. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Okay. And I think, yeah, where's Trouble the cat? Well, he was roaming around here not too long ago, but he seems to have settled down. I think he's used to these live videos where he knows that unless he goes out of his way to get attention, it's going to be kind of, just a time for him to relax. I hope. Our turkey was a gift. Thank you for the hubby's aunt for that. Okay, people can be so overrated for holidays and throw away so much when people in the world are hungry. Well, yeah, that is indeed a sore subject that I mean, we could go into discussions of that forever, for instance, but it's, I'm not going to start some kind of a debate on that here. Instead, I do believe we're going to move on to the next subject and for tonight. And that, of course, is the stuffing, because there's no such thing as too much stuffing at Thanksgiving as far as anybody at all is concerned. So, up until now, being a born and bred New Englander, I regularly use bread stuffing. But thanks to all you folks on my channel, you have all been encouraging me to try cornbread stuffing. So for that, I guess this is going to be my first time doing cornbread stuffing, and I can only hope that things turn out well. So that means we have not one, but two cornbread. Because I was going to do one, and then, as I've said, I found out I'm going to be having some two guests over tomorrow. Now, supposedly, you are supposed to let this sit out and become stale, and it certainly has done that. So I can only hope that I have enough liquid here to make sure it's all covered. You're supposed to have equal amounts of liquid for this, especially chicken broth. And now I am definitely regretting using that chicken broth in the mushrooms. Well, we will do what has to be done. Okay, so that means we need to start up with some large baking sheet. No, I did that part. After the bread, okay, all that's necessary is to be dried enough. Okay, keep in a sealed plastic container until it's ready to be used. All right, the rule is okay, we've got to butter, onions. All right, I think we've got it. I should start now, therefore, with yet another bowl so that we can prepare our cornbread. And here's the part the difference between the between bread stuffing and cornbread stuffing. Bread stuffing always says you need to cut it up evenly. You can't do that really with cornbread. So just gonna have to do the best I can here. Yeah, like I said, I mean, yeah, that's the problem with all I did was great. All I did was I used your simple basic southern cornbread recipe, the kind that has just 6 ingredients: cornmeal, some buttermilk, an egg, and not much else. So this is indeed going to be a very basic type of cornbread stuffing here. I guess all I really need to do at this point is break the big pieces down into smaller pieces. As you saw last week, though, when I made that cornbread, I like the way this has a nice golden color to it. And here comes number 2. Yeah, there's definitely not going to be any shortage of stuffing, that's for sure. So I can only hope it turns out well once this is all done. Oh yeah, while we're doing that, I'd better start heating up uh, enameled Dutch oven here. There we go, which I probably should have started doing a few minutes ago, unfortunately. Nonetheless, oh, and by the way, the green bean casserole is supposed to be in the oven about 40 to 45 minutes. But remember what I said, how it's almost impossible to burn that stuff. So I'll just keep peeking on it until it looks like it's done, and then it should indeed be done. Okay, I will break this up some more once this goes in. Once we're done with this. Still, there we go. Here is our cornbread. So now from here, okay, here is where we put in a lot more butter. It says 3/4 of a cup of butter, which is essentially a stick and a half. So that means now we get to turn around and look at some cast iron. I have shown you this pot before, I believe within just the past couple of weeks, in fact. This is the Lodge 7-quart enameled Dutch oven that I had as a birthday present about a year or two ago. I think it's already about 2 years. Boy, time is definitely flying, I'll say that much. Anyway, let me do this as fast as I can here. We're going to start off with, of course, some butter. I remember when I was first starting to learn to cook in cast iron, and I used a bare cast iron pot, heated up way, way, way too high. And I put butter in, and it literally exploded. I mean, it went boom and splattered all over the place. So that was a lesson that I learned early on, one that I have not forgotten. It's and it did take me a while to finally realize that lesson, which is you don't want to heat your pan too high, even though that's what a lot of people do. Oh, this is the same thing I used for the cream of mushroom. It'll be okay. All right. That means once this is in and it's good and hot, we will start throwing in a bunch of onions. And then from there, unfortunately, as I said, no bacon, regrettably, but we are going to use chicken, which in fact I better get out of the. Oh, don't dry it out, neither. More butter, yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't want to dry out this stuffing. We do not want to. Oh, oof, that almost was a disaster. What was that about my fridge being so organized? All right. Nonetheless, already starting to hear some sizzling from this butter. So I think we are off to a decent start. Anyway, once we've done this, yeah, that's right. I've got it over a nice heat anyway. So that means now we get to throw in a whole bunch of onions. There we go. Can I lean this up a little closer? Trying to get a good view of this pot for you folks. That's not bad, I think. All right, what we need to do though is just stir it until the onions start to soften and become translucent, and then we throw in some chicken. I noticed though when comparing this cornbread stuffing recipe to your traditional bread stuffing recipe, there really is no difference, quite frankly. All we're doing is using cornbread rather than regular bread. The seasonings are pretty much the same. So that's interesting, and that again is another reason why I kind of regret not making cornbread stuffing much earlier than now. Well, there's a first time for everything. By the way, notice again, I'm using a wooden spatula here on this pot. Yeah, I have seen enough YouTube videos, even with professional chefs. They regularly use metal utensils on their enamel cast iron. And I always end up gritting my teeth when I see that. So yeah, anybody who's used enamel cast iron on a regular basis know you have to be careful to keep from scratching the enamel. This little black part here, by the way, is just a little piece of mushroom. Like I mentioned, this was the same spatula that I made that mushroom gravy with. So yeah, there's certainly nothing bad about that. In fact, now that I'm thinking of it, mushrooms in this stuffing probably wouldn't be a bad thing either. All right, calm down and let this thing simmer a little bit. Always wooden spoon, says Corey Clark. Yes, exactly. Butter, celery, onion, sage, pepper, and salt, all of which I have. Also, I've got one regular ingredient that I use in my stuffing ever since I read it in Vincent Price's classic cookbook. And that additional seasoning is mace. And I like mace. If you've never had or smelled or tried mace, please, I encourage you, go out and get some of that stuff. See how it smells and tastes. Think of it this way: mace is commonly used in breakfast sausage. Not just sausage, but usually breakfast sausage. And also, as I said, Vincent Price used it in his recipe for Thanksgiving New England bread stuffing. And I like it. It is definitely something you want to look into. I'm going to put a little bit of it into this here. Boy, this is not taking long at all now. Yay, cast iron. So that means, well, again, I better maybe even turn down the heat a little bit because I don't want to burn the butter. I could try browning the butter, which is nice. But most importantly, we do not want to burn it. So I'll just be a little bit more patient here. But anyway, where was I? Oh, yes, that's right. So that's, as I said, a secret ingredient. Look it up again. Mace, M-A-C-E. And give that one a try. I really strongly recommend you use it in things like maybe stuffing, for instance. Mace is in the outer hull of the nutmeg. Yes, there is a similarity in smell between mace and nutmeg. So really, again, I can only say, give it a try. All right, so where was I? I hope you get as much service out of this lodge as you did. Yeah, I certainly hope so as well. No question about that. I'm as southern as you can get, but we also use stale white bread in our stuffing, but we don't cut it up evenly. Just however it crumbles like cornbread. Yeah, that's the other thing. Since I started making bread pudding as well, that part I've always found laughable. I love bread pudding. It's delicious. It's a great way to use stale bread. But what they always say is use a knife and cut it into squares. No, you don't need to do that. Tear your bread up and into nice small pieces. They are going to be uneven, yes, but it looks great. It gives it a nice rustic look to it, and it does not mean that they're going to be dry pieces in your in your bread pudding either, because it's going to be if you cook it right, it's going to be steaming properly in the oven as well. So every bit of the bread will indeed be moistened. So yeah, like Papa Dan says, just crumble up your cornbread and just tear up your bread. Saves a little effort as well that way. Now from here, throw in some, oh damn it, I did forget a bone. Some chicken. I just took a nice big chicken breast. Is that another bone? No, it's not. Good. There was only this one. I took a nice big chicken breast out this afternoon and slow cooked it in this very same large Dutch oven. Slow cooked it until it fell apart, so that even though my guests cannot, do not eat pork, they will still be able to have some chicken in this stuffing here, especially after we season it. And in fact, this looks like it's actually absorbing most of the liquid here. Maybe I should throw in more butter. How can that be a bad thing? So let's throw in this extra half stick of butter as well. I feel like Julia Child, always add more butter, because why not? Butter is good for you. Butter is fat, yes, and fat is flavor. So therefore, this is going to be a nice flavorful stuffing. Once this thing is all melted, I think I will then start throwing in the seasonings. I should probably even throw in more onions, because I still have more onions. There we go. That way I can use them all. The way I'm eyeballing these recipes and not following the recipes to the letter, I'm not sure if this means I'm being stupid or if I've gained some experience with cooking here. But one thing, it did take a few years, but I eventually realized recipes are not rules. They're more like guidelines. Just like Captain Barboza said in Pirates of the Caribbean, they're not rules. I prefer to think of them more as guidelines. And yes, there are instances, if you know your kitchen and your tastes, then then you should indeed take some risks, go beyond the recipe, and see what happens. Yes, it is possible that there can be mistakes, but on the other hand, you may end up with something good, which is kind of what happened with that green bean casserole, by the way. Because as I said, the recipe said to add in all that chicken broth, and I am very much regretting that, unfortunately. Okay, so there we're off to a good start. By the way, let me turn on the no, that's not the one, the oven light. Let's check out our green bean casserole, shall we? Not much of a view, I'm afraid, but doesn't seem too bad. As I said, it's almost impossible to burn that thing, but it does look like it's bubbling. So it's definitely cooking, and that's why, as I said, I was not worried, and I'm still not worried about using frozen green beans in there. All right, so now we've got our chicken and onions and butter. Now we definitely need to start throwing in some spices here, which means, as you said already, the first thing we should do is throw in some ground sage. And then from there, about half a teaspoon of pepper. I love pepper anyway. Not too much, of course. This one also calls for just a little bit of thyme. Oh, please give me more time. I need more time. This is enough time for you. You've got too much time on your hands. Okay, thyme. And as I mentioned previously, mace. Yeah, I actually came across a nice package of mace powder, so I'm happy to be able to use it. There we go. That's probably all I need. We don't need a lot of it, especially since this is fresh stuff too. Mace, this, and then from there, well, yeah, of course, we've got to put in a little bit of salt as well. That's probably enough. Okay, and with that, mix it all together, especially to help flavor this chicken here. I just cook the chicken with your basic salt, pepper, and garlic powder. Oh yeah, there we go. Now we're starting to get some scent in here. This is definitely starting to look more like the mixing for a stuffing now. Because now, once we get that in, all right, that's the real trick. Now, the ratio to producing a stuffing again is supposed to be equal amounts bread and liquid. So that means heat. All right, add sausage, ham until the sausage is cooked. And here, oh yeah, that's right. We definitely need eggs as well. That's the other thing. And boy, it's a good thing. Good thing too because I am currently swimming in eggs. I posted this on my Facebook the other day. Somebody was kind enough to gift me with a package of 30 eggs. So I have no shortage of eggs to work my way through right now. I've quickly got to get myself bowl here for these eggs so that I can beat them, take out my frustrations on them. All right, let's move. See if we can get a view of both of these. There we go. All right, got to keep stirring this as well because I really don't want to. There we go. Don't want to end up burning the chicken. There is that. But let me quickly, very quickly, move these eggs over. Yeah, between that and the other package of eggs, I'm swimming in eggs. I should probably consider making an angel food cake maybe this weekend or something, just because it uses a lot of eggs. There's 1, 2, and I don't know if I can dare call this a technique, but the way I break eggs is I always crack it on the counter. And I've learned lately, you go to the cracked side and then pull it away with the cracked side on top. So that I find there's a lot less possibility, not impossible, unfortunately, but a lot less possibility of little pieces of shell getting into your stuff. There you go. So again, I turn the cracked side up towards me and kind of pull the egg apart. And in most instances, it works. Sometimes, yeah, there we go. There we go. So far, I'm 5 for 5. I hope I don't regret what I've just said. Here's the last one. You know, the one where something fun always happens. But nope, it worked. It worked okay. So there we are. 6 eggs. There we go. The rest of these I've got to quickly throw back into the fridge or place back into the fridge. Yuck, yuck, yuck. And get out our fork and fork it up. Wait a second. Stir this. All right, there we go. So far, so good. You can probably turn the heat down on this by this point, in fact. So I will. I'll turn the heat down a little bit. And now finally start. There we go. So far, so good. Doing my best to beat the eggs. All right, now we're starting to get some consistency to it. So that's good. This was 6 eggs once again. I'm actually wondering if maybe I should throw in a couple more, partly because I have the eggs, but partly because I want a good binder for this stuffing. I'll find out in a minute. Anyway, from here, there's some 2 cups of liquid when it's time. Yeah, we also heat this to 350 degrees, so that's the same time for the same temperature as what's already cooking in the oven. Stir in additional ingredients, add bread cubes. Okay, now here we go. This means we get to, how do we do this? Add the, pour the egg mixture over the bread cube. Got it. Okay, okay, here we are. Let me finish breaking up a few more of these clumps of cornbread. With that, put it in as best as we can. Oops, yeah, I missed one big piece too. Oops. Fortunately, this is not burning hot here on top, at least not yet. There we go. As best as we can. Now, mix all of this together. Okay, doing my best to try to break up the largest clumps here. So this, all at the same time. There we go. A little bit here, a little bit there. In fact, let's move over here so you can have a better view, so that if and when I screw this up, you will have a front row seat. I hope I haven't made that little joke at my expense too often. Unfortunately, it's been true more often than I would like to admit. But you folks, that's why you folks are here, to remind me of when that happens. Okay, there we go. This is not too bad. Now from here, we pour our egg mixture in. You know, I'm still thinking I should probably maybe even put a couple more eggs in there. Nonetheless, we will mix all this together. There we go. And now finally, after all this, pour the egg mixture after this. Okay, mix in the meat, stir everything together. Here's the part where I add in the extra liquid, and I hope, okay, this means the rest of this chicken broth, which at this point, I'm thinking I may actually have to probably mix some regular water in with this, because I don't think there's enough chicken broth to go around, unfortunately. All right, well then we will do what we have to do. Yeah, I definitely regret using that chicken broth. Unquestionably. And there's no extra in the fridge. All I have is beef stock, and I don't want to mix beef into this. So I'm gonna have to settle for throwing a little bit of water in, because there's no other choice. Wait a second. What if I were to use milk in this? A little bit of milk in this. Would you prefer milk or water at this point? What would you think here? No lesson learned. Yeah, that's a horror story. The dishwasher. Okay. Quick question, folks. Would you prefer at this point, if I do not have enough liquid, although it looks like there's a fair amount, I will say that much, but I'm thinking maybe just a little bit more liquid yet. But I'm thinking maybe putting in either a dash of water or a dash of milk. Since this is cornbread stuffing, what do you think would go better with this mixture here of cornbread, onions, chicken, and butter? I am thinking, okay, yeah, exactly. Use that gravy, says Corey. Well, there's a possibility. Of course, okay. Somebody else says milk. Most say milk. Let's okay. I think I will. Hey, okay. Here's the rest of that cream. Okay. That way I can get rid of it as well. If there we go. You need milk. Yeah, I know, because the idea is, of course, liquid. So let's just throw in here. Let me get out my milk. Fortunately, still have plenty of milk, I'm glad to say. I had used a half gallon, but I had another gallon. This should be more than enough. I don't want to overdo it. But, and actually, considering that when making cornbread, you want to keep mixing in more milk, I am thinking that milk is probably a better idea. Oh, yeah, look at this. This thing is pretty much sopping here. I only hope I didn't overdo it, but I have a feeling it's going to absorb it pretty well. So that means, there we go. All I have to do now is cover this tub of mush and bake it. Milk if you have it, water if no milk. Yes, exactly. So, okay. Well, thank you everybody for the suggestions, which means now finally, here comes the lid. I've shown you this before. This is the lid to this Lodge enamel Dutch oven, which is a grill, a very thin grill griddle or skillet. There we go. And in it goes. Oh, which means, yeah, bread pudding. And we're already at just about that time anyway. So we are just about that time. That means after this, all I have to really do is wait. The green bean casserole is still boiling. I'm betting I could probably take that out of the oven in maybe about, oh, I don't know, another 10 minutes or so. Not if I leave this oven door open, I can't. So let's do this quickly. Oh, okay. As quickly as I can, that is. There we go. Ugh. These are very forgiving dishes, thank goodness. So that's why if I need to keep them in a little longer, I will. But there we go. Oh, so thanks to all that, somehow managed to do it. I've got a big mess here to clean up in the kitchen, which I think I will do as I wait for all of this to finish baking. The cornbread casserole is supposed to be in there for like maybe about 45 to 50 minutes. At some point, maybe after 40 minutes or so, I will remove the lid so that we can get something of a crust on top. Meanwhile, that green bean casserole will come out of the oven probably in about the next 10 to 15 minutes. Oh, well, thank you everybody for standing by as I talk and talk and talk as I was doing all this. All right. K Clock, I think some Lodge is made in China and some is made in USA. That is true. Lodge makes their enamel. Lodge has their enamel cast iron made in China. That is true. There's no denying that. They make all of their bare cast iron at their factory in Pennsylvania, in Tennessee, South Pittsburgh. But it is true that the enamel cast iron is made in China. They do have very strict quality control standards, and in general, Lodge cast iron, their enameled cast iron is considered to be some of the best cast iron that is enameled cast iron that is available. It's a lot less expensive than Le Creuset, and it's true that it is not made with as many layers of enamel as Le Creuset, but if you look up all those reviews, generally Lodge enamel cast iron will get a big thumbs up. And I can say the same thing. As you can see, I use Lodge enamel cast iron and I don't have any problem at all with that. Thanks for the compliment, Val, but I closely supervise the cast iron cleanup. Yeah, I don't blame you. One thing I do not have in my new kitchen is a dishwasher, and I'm not going to, and I don't miss it. I didn't have a dishwasher in my other apartment anyway. Milk does my body bad. Well, in your case, then, Cynthia, we could always use extra chicken broth. Hello, first time in, says Tally Command 2003. Just wanted to come by. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad you like the chicken recipes. I grew up eating chicken thanks to my mom, so I very much love using my cast iron to make chicken. Walter White. Yeah, there we go again. Um, I've been hearing Walter White comments for the past 11 or 12 years now. So, yes, I do not deliberately make myself look like Walter White. In fact, if you consider the glasses are wrong, Walter White never wore a black t shirt. He doesn't wear the type of hat that I do either. So, um, it's definitely not quite the same. The similar, I have to be regret admit there are similarities which I did not intentionally do. It's just there. Um, yeah, but sometimes I've taken advantage. And he says it's just a pan. I would have been like Lucy on Charlie Brown. You the football, you pull the football from under it. I found out that large enamel cast iron enamelware is made in China. Well, yes. Okay, one more thing about enamel cast iron. No enameled cast iron is made here in America with one exception, and it's not Lodge. Enameled cast iron has not been made by anyone in decades. It is all made abroad. So there's no choice. There is simply no manufacturer here in the United States, including Lodge, that has the capability to make enamelware. I understand Granite Ware is still making enameled, their enameled steel and aluminum pans, but they don't do cast iron. And Lodge obviously has shown that I guess they've considered it to be far too great an expense to build an enamelware foundry as well as their cast iron foundry here in the US. So instead, they just simply have it, well, just that manufactured in China. But as I said again, they use strict quality control standards. And rather than go into that subject again about Asian cast iron, I have a video out there on YouTube, which I'm hoping folks here have seen. You know, the one that goes, "Warning: does Asian cast iron contain lead?" And that's me in that video. And I stand by every word that I made in that video 10 years ago. Oh, it's been 10 years, yes, but I still stand by it and I will still say Asian cast iron is safe. Even if you don't like Asian cast iron for political or personal reasons, you can do that. That's your opinion, but it's still safe for cooking. All right, and finally, one more thing, and I think we're about ready. Maybe I should pull out that green bean casserole just before we sign off here. So, yeah, talking about milk, making dressing with her is one cooking that I look forward to each year. We were supposed to do it today, but wasn't meant to be this year. Well, my condolences. Son-in-law making it this year. Okay, well, there you go. Pass the baton on to him and enjoy his dressing. That's one less thing you have to do. So relax and enjoy your Thanksgiving. I think that's really the best thing I could say for everyone, folks. You know, enjoy your Thanksgiving. For a lot of us, it's pretty darn stressful because usually we are the ones with the kitchen duties, getting all of these things together, doing a turkey as well as stuffing and green bean casserole and cranberry sauce and mashed potatoes and this and that and sweet potato casserole and a whole bunch of other things that we only seem to make on Thanksgiving. But is so it's really it can be really chaotic. Yeah, there's that word again, chaos. But speaking then someone who named his channel as chaos, all I could say is just dive in and swim. Don't panic. That's probably the biggest thing. Don't panic, because one way or another it will be over, and if we just take our time and relax, chances are things will go just fine. I said before, it's almost impossible to screw up a turkey. So really, just cooking the turkey can be done, and it's one probably going to be the least stressful thing in the kitchen. So we'll get the turkey done, and then the sides, and then we're ready to sit down and enjoy ourselves. What time is it now? 9:35. Let's take a look at that green bean casserole because at worst, I could always just put it back in the oven. And in which case, then I think that'll be a nice way to sign off for this night before Thanksgiving. Which, okay, here's that burner. Oh, yeah, now that I've done that, I've got to pull this back so I can open the door. Okay, here we go. Get and oh boy, it's hot in here. A one, a one, a two. Careful. Uh, There we are. I have to remember this was homemade um, mushroom, cream of mushroom. So the consistency is not the same as your typical cream of mushroom. But I don't think that looks too bad. What do you think, folks? It looks like it's got a crust around the outside, but it looks browned, but nothing looks burned. Nothing smells burned. Oh, it's got an interesting smell to it, in fact. So I think we may very well be done here. I think I will let this thing just simply rest and cool down. And I would say then we've got ourselves some green bean casserole. Thank you to everybody, by the way, for the suggestion of the milk. And yeah, I think I managed to pull through with this, despite the fact that that was not the best recipe for cream of mushroom soup. Next time, it'll be nice and simple. Make a good mushroom gravy, and there you go. Gravy and beans, and of course these crispy onions, aka fried onions. People just seem to eat those things the way they eat potato chips. And yeah, okay. Um, and I think, as I said, I think we are about ready here because I've got to clean up the kitchen, and I know a lot of you folks are probably still preparing for tomorrow because tomorrow's the big day. And why not? I invited everybody here to relax and have some fun this evening, and that's the best I can hope. And I really hope that folks enjoy themselves. I hope they enjoy themselves here every week because, as I say every week, this is a lot of fun, and it's you folks being here that makes it so much fun. As Mike M says, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I mean, really, just tomorrow, regardless of what your situation is, if you are fortunate enough to spend your Thanksgiving in the company of friends and family, enjoy the moment, enjoy it all. If you are spending Thanksgiving by yourself, enjoy it. Have a nice, relaxing day. Even if you don't want to cook on Thanksgiving, even if you do what I did for several years in my old life, order Chinese and relax on Thanksgiving. Have fun. Enjoy yourself tomorrow. Enjoy the holiday. Enjoy the day off. Enjoy your time with friends and family or whoever. And most of all, just enjoy yourselves, okay? And be careful, everybody. Remember, things are pretty tough. So thank you very much for everything as always. Best I could say, of course, is we're gonna do it all again next year. Oh, let me remind you one more time. Remember, the last Sunday was Stir Up Sunday. Get your fruitcake ready, or start getting your pudding ready, because now is the time to start preparing the holiday pudding. And if you never prepared a holiday pudding or fruitcake before, give it a try. And having said that, I think it's time now to bid everybody adieu for another Thanksgiving. We will be back again next week when Thanksgiving will be over, and you know what comes after Thanksgiving. Brace yourselves and have fun. All right, and with that, I think we will be signing off. So thank you once again to everybody, and Val and Celine and Neos and everyone. Good night, and thank you very much. I'm glad there was no disasters here tonight. I think this casserole turned out good, and I hope my friends like it. See you all next week, and have a good evening, folks. See you next Wednesday.